Good morning, children. Now in this second video, I'm going to explain you the explanation of the paragraphs of the chapter The 100 Dresses Part 1. Children, today we are going to start our next chapter, The 100 Dresses Part 1, written by L. Besor Esther. Before I start this chapter, I want to ask something. How do we judge the people around us? Do you judge them by their money, wealth, and positions? Or is there something of more enduring value to look for in a person? So, this is a story about a sensitive account of how a poor young girl is judged by her classmates. Wanda Petronsky is her name, and she is a young Polish girl who goes to school with other American children in an American town. These other children see Wanda as different in many ways, and we'll just do how she was treated in the school and what happened next. Before that, I want to tell you about the Polish American community in the United States. You know the first Polish immigrants arrived in America in 1608? And more than 1 million Poles migrated to the United States in the 20th century. And the Polish state did not exist at that time. And the immigrants were identified according to their country of origin rather than to ethnicity. Like they were identified as Russian Poles, German Poles, and Austrian Poles. And one of the most notable Polish American communities is in Chicago. And the second largest Polish city is in the world, that is Chicago. And next to Warsaw, the capital of Poland. Polish Americans were sometimes discriminated against in the United States, as were the Irish, Italians, and Jews. So, here we are going to start the chapter. Okay, now let's start the chapter. Here you will come to know about one Polish girl, Wanda Petronsky. How she was treated there in the American school. Two girls, Peggy and Madeline. They used to make fun of her. How? Let's see. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky is the name of the Polish girl, was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline. The girls who started all the fun noticed her absence. Usually Wanda sat in that seat next to the last seat in the last row in the room 13. Here the writer is talking about room number 13, where the class was going on, and it was Monday. Wanda Petronsky, she was not in a seat, and nobody noticed about her, even Peggy and Madeline also. These are the two girls who just used to make fun of her. They had not noticed her absence. Because usually Wanda, she used to sit at the last seat in the last row in room number 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling. Scuffling of feet means noisily or dragging movements of the feet on the ground. must roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. She used to sit at the last, and where the boys who were not having interest in studies, they used to sit there and did not make good marks. The comments they used to make while sitting in the last. She also used to sit in the last seat. And the corner of the room where she used to sit, what she used to hear? Always the dragging movement of the feet in the ground. And though the roars of the laughter of those boys, they used to make fun of others and they keep on laughing. When anything funny was said, they were the first one to just roar into laughter. And that place, it was full of mud and dirt. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. No, it's not like that. She was not like rough or noisy. This is not the reason why she used to sit there. On the contrary means opposite. She was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. She never used to say anything. She was just opposite. She was not like those boys. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud, and nobody heard her laughing like that. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into the crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Sometimes they have seen that only she used to smile in a crooked way. Nothing else. Nobody knew exactly why Wanda sat in that seat. Nobody knows why she used to sit there. Unless it was because she came all the way from Boggins Height. She used to just come from Boggins Height. This is a place, it is full of mud where poor people used to stay or live. And her feet were usually caked with dry mud, and her feet, it was full of dry mud. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. As I told you, she was Polish girl, and they have not accepted her. And nobody really just thought much about Wanda Petronsky, where she used to sit, why she used to sit in the corner of the room. They don't care about this. Now we move to the next paragraph. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside the school hours at noon time, when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before school began. Here they stands for those two girls, Peggy and Madeline. And here they didn't get the time to think about Wanda. The time they used to get, that was the school, after school hours, when they used to think about Wanda at noon time, and when they were coming back to school, or they used to think about Wanda in the morning hours when the school began, when groups of 2 or 3 or even more would be talking and laughing as their way to the schoolyard, when they all were moving in a groups, 1 or 2, and they were talking and laughing and moving towards the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her. Sometimes what they used to do, Peggy and Madeline, they used to wait for Wanda so that they should have fun with her. The next day, it was Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. Next day also it was Tuesday, and Wanda was not in the school, and nobody have noticed about her. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children, who got good marks and who didn't track in a whole lot of mud, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. But on Wednesday, what happened? Peggy and Maddie, they were sitting in the front row with the other children. They got very good marks. Then they noticed about Wanda. because they didn't track the mud marks, because whenever Wanda used to come, she used to bring that mud marks with her shoes. So they didn't track that, and then they noticed that Wanda was not there. Peggy was the most popular girl in the school. She was pretty. She had many pretty clothes, and her hair was curly. And Maddie was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school. Now what happened? Peggy, she was the most popular girl in the school. First, she was very pretty. She used to wear very pretty clothes. She was having many pretty clothes. And her hair, it's curly. And Maddie, she was her closest friend, fast friend. The reason is also that the Peggy and Maddie, they noticed Wanda because of Wanda. They came late to school because they were waiting for Wanda to tease her. The explanation of the next paragraphs will be in the next video. Thank you.